Exalted. Empire.
Alright, so I want to talk about this Haikyuu Kuroko Diamond No Ace thing because Haikyuu is good. But the fact that you said Haikyuu and Diamond No Ace are not on the same level, you're gonna have to explain that to me, fellas. That shit not it at all.
Let me break down the two animes. I'm gonna break it down super easy for you, bro. Look, Diamond No Ace, great character development. They even go through 2 seasons. And you should put spoiler alert on this, by the way, because they go through 2 different seasons, right? They go through
3.
the regular season. Well, yeah, 3 basically. They go through the regular season. They lose. They go through the second season. They win, and then it shows their play, like the actual after they win. And I think the character development. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of sports animes, a lot. And I love Diamond No Ace because of its character development. However, I think that there are certain aspects in which we didn't get to develop on some of the characters that I really wanted to, and I'm really sad about that. But the same could be said about Haikyuu. And I think Haikyuu is a really big... not only are they...
Do you mind if I interject real quick?
Oh yeah, facts. Interject.
Okay. So here's my thing, right? First and foremost, Diamond No Ace, much bigger cast. Number 2, what is the focus of Diamond No Ace? Sawamura Eijun. So the series primarily focuses on pitchers and catchers because they are the most important aspect of this series because Eijun is what? A pitcher. So
yeah, fair.
everything that he's watching between the whole game is between how other pitchers compare to him, how other catchers, how other batteries compare to him. While I can see your point about wanting other characters to progress and stuff like that, one, I don't think it's a huge flaw because I think he does a good job of doing it in the box of what it pertains to what he's trying to do. But the main thing is the focus is on Sawamura. When we're dealing with basketball and even volleyball, the cast is significantly smaller. They do not have as many people on a team as baseball do. And everybody on a baseball team is not nearly as important. Now, there is depth pieces, and you have to be unified as one team. So people do have to do their job. But everybody is not important. Especially in high school baseball, where there are clearly kids way more talented and can do way more than a lot of other people on the field with them. But continue. I'm gonna let you continue because I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
2 things. One, I want to ask you: have you watched Haikyuu to the recent event?
No, but I know everything that happened because I don't care about spoilers, so I completely know everything that happened. And like I said, I'm not saying that Haikyuu. Haikyuu is definitely a top 5.
That's completely different than experiencing it, though, right? But I will like whatever, But
I know enough about Haikyuu though, and enough about Diamond No Ace.
But
I
knowing
can say they're on the same level.
Yeah, I think
especially when you threw Kuroko in the mix too.
Well, Kuroko I think is under both of them. I'm not gonna lie. And Kuroko, the reason I say that is because Kuroko no Basket is a fantastic anime. I've watched it 3 times, the complete beginning to end. I'm on my 4th run through it. I can't get enough. I literally go back to it because I'm like, man, this basketball anime was fire. Slam Dunk was good, but this was fire. Like it's
a lot of people would complete. Well, as far as the storytelling aspect, as far as it being an anime, sure, because Kuroko no Basket is just fun. It's people playing Dragon Ball Z with basketballs in them. There's like it has the least realistic function out of most of these top sports anime. It's the least realistic.
It's the least realistic, but it's straight beautiful in how they actually go about the dynamic of portraying the characters, how they go about the dynamic of these great characters, these great people who can do magnificent things within the basketball realm. And as much as like I love basketball in real life, I'm just gonna say like Kuroko no Basket is still a really good part of like that kind of thing. Whereas like, man, I get to watch a basketball anime. I don't know what's gonna happen next. This is really cool. They're facing off against a good team. I don't know what's gonna happen. Produces that kind of stimulant for actual basketball games.
See, I actually that's the thing about me. Kuroko did not do that for me. Unlike unlike Haikyuu and unlike Domino Ace, Kuroko doesn't. Because especially when we get towards the ending, I'd have problems with the ending.
The ending
towards
was
the ending, I definitely had problems. That's why it's not even in the same for me.
Yeah, the ending of Kuroko no Basket was definitely weird, which is why I can't portray it into being in the same league as those other two animes that you mentioned.
My problem is, okay, I'll let you go first. I'm trying to learn how to not cut it. Let you do this thing.
It's all good, bro. I'll let you talk, bro, whenever you want to. The thing is that Kuroko no Basket, as much as it had pretty cool characters, it didn't really portray on the backstories of all these characters, right? What made them be what they are. And so that's the kind of thing that I really want from these sports animes. It's not about the sport itself, because anyone can make a sport anime, right? Like, ooh, let me make these guys play sports and give them powers, whatever, But it's about the character development, the backstory on these characters that actually portray them and why they're this way. We didn't really get that from any of the other characters in Kuroko no Basket. We didn't get the character generation of when they were kids or what made them want to be this good. We didn't really get any of that. And in Kuroko no Basket, that's why I think it's a star below the other Haikyuu, Domino Ace type animes, because we really did get that significant character development in those other two animes. But
well, okay, so I understand where you're coming from with character development. Now, personally, as much as I do care about character development for me, does not have to be this giant, huge thing that needs to happen. Character development can be small. Character regression can happen. There's all sorts of things that take place that can happen in a story that I don't need giant character progression. I don't need Kuroko to be a completely different person by the end of the story for it to be good. Now, however, my problem is it from the very beginning is that they act like Kuroko's team is the only team that gets better and their role players help them completely take over games, even when they have their 2-star players that they have. And two, I have fundamental problems with, let's say like the beginning, right? Kagami steps on the team, and yes, we know that he is a person that's supposed to be as good as a Generation of Miracle. He's on the same level as them. He's not beneath them. But I have a problem in their first practice game. They walk up to Kisei's team and they beat them. That don't make any sense to me.
It doesn't.
Because doing that, and then you beat Kisei again later in this story. I didn't want to see them play Kisei again. What was the point? I already knew they could beat him. That completely ruined any dramatic, tension I've had for them playing again. I was like, is Kisei gonna beat them this time? No, of course not.
Of course not.
He's not gonna beat them. That's why I didn't care about that match. As cool as it is visually pleasing, I'm not going to care. I have no emotional investment in a lot of these matches because I know what's going to happen.
See, you bring up a good point, right? Which is emotional investment. Sports animes aren't meant to portray. It has to be flashy, of course, but it's not meant to portray these kind of things, which is, oh man, I have this epic battle coming up to you. You know what I mean? It's more of saying, man, I have these characters. They've gone through all this progression. How do they fare well with their current progressor? Right? So I think in Kuroko no Basket's, if I'm arguing for them, it would say to be like, oh man, okay, they went against them before in a practice match. We want to try to see, we want to let you know that these characters have progressed. So we want to put them against the same opponent and show you how they progress. However,
but that would make sense if it'd be more impactful if they lost the first time, because then you could see them go through the baby steps of getting better together
they did lose
when
the
they
first
overcome
time,
and won.
But they were just introducing more characters, but this is why I say character progression and character growth, or wait, character progression and character the understanding of a
you could say growth or whatever. I understand.
Are two different things, right? Because if we get to dive in deep, character definition. That's what I would say. Character definition. if we get to dive in deep with the character and we get to see their back hood of why they chose to be in this category, it'd be much more heartworthy to be like, I can connect to this character because they share similar elements to myself. Like, I want it to be like, if you ever go back and you're like, man, when I was a child, I wanted to do this. And this character that you're watching on screen is like, man, I'm a child and I wanted to do this. You could probably relate to that character. Like, man, I wanted to try hard. What if I tried hard more in my certain career or my certain pathway to get to this point? And it really makes you think, which is also why I wish for character definition to be a thing in sports animes.
While I understand that, and I do agree with you that is a big important factor, especially in sports anime. There is something to be said about what the goal is, what the journey is, what you're getting out of certain dynamics and elements of the story. Because a lot of these sports, almost in every sports anime, you do find characters that you relate to. It's not always the main character, but that's part of the fun. The side cast you do relate to.
I love it.
Akashi has the pressure of upholding his family name and needing to be good at everything he does. Ayome has the trouble of being just a bona fide prodigy. He's being too good for his own good because now he's bored because he doesn't feel like anybody is worthy to play him because he was too good, too soon, too fast.
Too fast.
Yeah, and then you got the other ones who just did not like the way about it and just became kind of toxic because they were around toxic other people. He looked up to everybody in the generation of miracles, but A, he felt a need to prove himself, and B, because they were kind of toxic, it kind of rubbed off on him becoming that way.
Yeah. I think Kuroko no Basket is a great anime, just to sum it up as well. I think Kuroko no Basket is a very great anime. I just don't think, as far as what character development and character progression wise, it doesn't stand to the means of Diamond No Ace and Haikyuu.
You know, I actually don't 100% know if I agree with you because I just think the other ones have more characters and different things that you might prefer more.
Whoa. Well, there were more characters in freaking Kuroko no Basket.
In Haikyuu, probably. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And Diamond No Ace, there were significantly more characters, which is why I give the benefit of the doubt of not progressing through all of those characters. However, the way they progressed through the main team, being of like 20 characters or so, was phenomenal.
Well, see, that's the thing that I have to say somewhat about Kuroko. I think the main character work is necessarily good. I think it's just different. They're not all big character developments because part of the reason is that the goal of Kuroko no Basket may not be that preferable to most people in the first place because Kuroko's whole thing is just trying to basically just humble everybody around him. He's just like, oh, I need to show them that, you know, that being a team is more important than being an individual. Like that was his goal. And while I do understand that, I think there's problems about how they went about it. I don't like the execution of the execution is the problem with Kuroko no Basket. The powers, not the characters, not necessarily the fundamental of Kuroko, the story of it. I don't have a problem with the message that he was trying to how he executed it, especially towards the end. Especially when you're telling me that Akashi was with 3 other teammates that are nearly the same level as the Generation of Miracles, and while they did need to humble Akashi during that game, that he couldn't do it by himself. But when he gets into the zone, and his zone is putting the other 3 in the zone, you can't tell me that they lose that game.
Well, you missed the point. You missed the point, though.
I didn't miss the point.
No, here's why.
I don't agree with the execution. You can understand the point and not agree with the execution.
Here's why. It's called Kuroko no Basket. Kuroko.
No, see, that's the thing. That's the thing, right? I don't agree with this standpoint that the main character always has to win to have his full on impact. He had just as much impact if he lost that game by 1 point than if he won it. I don't agree that just because he's Kuroko, he needed to win that game. Because the fact that he changed Akashi internally from the match itself was good enough. You don't always have to win to change somebody.
But that's the point, though, right? It's that it is a sports anime. It is named after a person. And we know what we're getting out of it, right? When we start.
Of course, but that doesn't mean I listen. Like I said, that doesn't mean I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. But I completely understand it. I completely understand it, though. I just do not agree.
It's 100% if you understand it. If you agree with it, that's fine. But as an anime standalone, it was still a really great anime. That's fine. But as comparison to the others, I think as comparison to our original topic, I think it just falls short because it didn't have enough character.
I don't agree necessarily it didn't have enough character. I just think the other two are better crafted story. I think we just have, you and me have different things that we prefer. When you're in the sports category, you're looking for the character work, and you think the other two is better. And I can't tell you that you're wrong if that's what you see and you're able to explain it to me. I never have a problem with anybody who can back up what they're saying. As long as you're not spewing bullshit to me, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with it because my thing is, if you're going to tell me something, you need to be able to back it up because I'm going to ask you why. Definition,
yes, 100% agree with you. Bottom line is, we both agree to being the top two animes. Now we should transition to that period on Domino Ace versus Haikyuu. And bottom line is, I actually think it just comes down to a preference on what
of
you
course, a lot of this for the most part is a preference. But go ahead and explain why you think Haikyuu is better, because you're on that side.
Yeah, I'm on the Haikyuu side.
But I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I just didn't agree with what you said earlier when you said it wasn't on the same.
No, I feel
that was my big statement. That was my big problem with.
You understand, bro? Like, anime disagreements are very fascinating to me because it all comes down to preference, but also it comes down to some kind of factual forms. Factual forms can present in metrics based off of viewer count, things like that. That's fine, but also those metrics also are very skewed based off of what they go off of. Look at Demon Slayer, fucking Demon Slayer, garbage. Anyway, okay, wait, all right. Demon Slayer is a good anime. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think we'll talk about that on later. We'll talk about that on a later date.
Demon Slayer is a good anime. I'm just mad about all the hype it got when Fire Force and
Fire Force is trash though. Like, Fire Force is only good. Fire Force is only good for its fights, but the story is just not picking up any traction.
People focus.
I'm
sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah. Back to my point though, is that Haikyuu has fun. Like, it has one of the best forms, and honestly, it's a collaboration of things. Right? I'm not saying any one of these particular things are better than Domino Ace, but I'm saying the collaboration of these metrics makes it form better than, in my mind, than Domino Ace. And so I will explain Haikyuu as being like a very radioactive animation. It has very swift animation, very clean character development, very clean going into the backgrounds on why they want to be that. On the entire team of their team, right? On entire teams of the enemy teams that they face that are very powerful. It has episodes that literally go back into the time and say, oh man, these characters, that's why they wanted to do that. Wow, like I never knew like a character can actually do that. And it's very contrary to people who actually play volleyball. I've met many people who have actually played volleyball in their college career. I've spoken with them. And this is very contrary to Haikyuu and what they actually go through. It's not super like these plays that they do in Haikyuu and even in Domino Ace can actually be portrayed in real life, which I really love. That's why I think they're always on a gap above Kuroko no Basket, if we're mentioning that again. but there are plays that have been and will be produced in real life, and this is just the top of the performance of that caliber of teams. I also really love how the characters are portrayed in the silly moments in those animes, right? Haikyuu has very silly moments. They do even in their little cutscenes are very fire. It's pretty cute, and I just think that takes it above the Diamond Ace, with Diamond Ace being a very good anime, however not portraying the background of the characters. And as much as they have more characters to build, I don't think that we even get them, most of the main characters being built from their background up. So I would love to see that more, and that's why I think Haikyuu is the better anime of choice.
Okay, and I'm not gonna tell you that you're wrong, and here's what I'm gonna do. I am not going to take this as a chance to shit on Haikyuu or anything like that, and I'm not going to argue, points down on Haikyuu. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to strictly talk about Domino Ace and why I hold it, because I just recently finished this a couple months ago, and why I hold it on such high regard. Okay, so Domino Ace touches on many factors that is so much different than most to me. Okay, so the things I like about Domino Ace: one, I very much like how Domino Ace peers on different factors affecting a game. So many different factors affect your performance, how you train, how you think about yourself, your level of confidence, how you start the game, how you finish the game, how it's refereed. There's so many different factors when you're playing a team sport that can literally change the momentum, and you can lose just like that, or you can win. All it takes is a small moment. So that's one of my favorite aspects about it. It dives into a lot of the psychology about players and teams in itself. How easy it is to get good and then just fall. How hard it is to take a loss just because you trained all year. You're with your seniors and you're like, man, those guys are so good. But at one time, they weren't good either. They had to train to get to that point, to be as good as they were. And just because you train hard doesn't mean that other people aren't training hard. Just because you win a lot of the time doesn't mean you're going to win all of the time. Because Domino Ace does this beautiful thing where, they build this anticipation, and you're just like, I love going this journey with these characters. You grow fond of them, and that's something that it does that you don't necessarily need all this character work. See, to me, I'm not gonna say that character work is overrated because it's very important, but like I said earlier, you don't need to build giant, growth from the beginning to the end. The seniors that we had in Domino Ace, you saw enough about them where you liked them, where you grew with them. You went through the whole 75 episodes where you started and you started to really feel in touch with this team, almost like you were on it, like you could place yourself on the team itself. And there's something to be said for that you don't necessarily need to see all their backstories, where they grew up, how their parents gave birth to them, their whole journey. You don't always need every part of that, because when you deal with real sports, for example, do you know every single little thing about every character on the team? Most casual people don't know that, but they get invested into the team itself.
Okay.
And you fall in love with rooting for the underdog, or rooting for your country, or rooting for things like that. And that's a lot of things that it touch on. And also, just that moment where you finally realize what you're playing for, what you're striving for. Domino Ace, Sawamura went from basically, just being like, oh, I want to be the ace, I want to be the best pitcher, to having to understand leadership, having to understand what it means to wear that number on your back, for your teammates to rely on you, to realize that you not only have to be the best player, but you have to be the spiritual, mental, and emotional leader of a team potentially. Those are things that you just cannot, put into words how much you can value that when it comes to something. And I cried watching that anime more times than I really care to say, because it was just like, I've never did a team sport. I did an individual sport. I did martial arts for most of my life, for 10 years. And Domino Ace made me wish I had a team sport if it was going to be like that, because that is a big thing. And Haikyuu does do his things well. And Haikyuu, like you said, probably has better character work, because I feel like that's more of what it was aiming for, though. It was more aiming for those particular things. And it's fine if you have a personal preference towards that. I will not disagree with you, because that's very important. And that's something that Haikyuu shines. That's one of its best features, along with its animation. Yeah. And how beautiful and how poetic the antagonist can be. There are definitely things that it's better at. But I'm just saying that Domino Ace is better at different things that put it on an echelon on the same level that you may not have taken into account for.
I just want to reiterate on how this is just the two animes between these two are definitely a difference of what you cherish more in an anime. I think if you cherish, like the significance, getting to know characters on a deeper level, you'll go for Haikyuu. And I think that's really good. But if you're thinking about an overall sports anime for what you actually want to be in, what you actually view, and you're like, man, I love this sport, like baseball. You love baseball. And you're like, man, there's so many characters. I'm going through high school baseball, or even if you're not even going through high school baseball, maybe it's different baseball, or you just love baseball. I think that the other anime might just be better for you, because they do go into character development, and their character development is really significant. And I think their character progression is very good for Domino Ace. Haikyuu, however, has a more personal level. I think I become more personal with the characters while watching Haikyuu and Domino Ace. I become more fascinated with, man, I love baseball, or I like baseball, or I like sports animes. And this is a great sports anime to watch. I think both are very good sports animes to watch. It's just that, I don't know, like I favor Haikyuu. Not playing any of the two sports, I favor Haikyuu more than, because I want that interpersonal connection with the characters that I'm watching on screen.
Which I understand, because you definitely get to learn about the whole team on a more individual level. Well, here's the thing is too about Haikyuu, that
I mean, it's a 6-to-9 ratio, right? So there are 12 people on a volleyball team, and typically on a field, and there are 18 people on a baseball team. So the ratio of
on the field at one time, there's way more,
exactly. But exactly. But on the ratio of understanding the team diametrics and character development, right? And you can't uncover all the under backgrounds of each of these characters. There's just not enough episodes, especially if you're a low rate.
Right, exactly. And when we talked about pacing, earlier, if he spent so much time, going into every individual character in the baseball, we'd be there all day. Who knows when it would end?
We need at least 3 seasons to cover just the first season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Stuff like that. And Haikyuu, like I said, I understand, because I definitely am not going to sit here and disagree with you about character work when it comes to Haikyuu, especially when he puts such an importance on the antagonist as well as the people on the old team. And the thing about Haikyuu that's different too is it's 2 main characters. That's why it's a little bit different too. It's not just one. There's 2 main characters. When it comes to the baseball, it's 1 main character, and we're talking mostly about his position. Now, you need to know about the other positions, but the main focus is his position.
However, an argument can be made that for Domino Ace that it is actually 2 main characters. Both of the pitchers share equal time within the anime. Because he's his rival.
Okay, I'll say, I won't say that like they're not main characters, but the story revolves around Sawamura.
Yeah,
and the reason why the other characters, because one, they're on the same team, and two, that's his main rival. They're rivals, they're friends, and they're competing for the same position. So their destinies are kind of intertwined with one another. Same with Haikyuu, but in a completely different way.
I mean, an argument can be made for Haikyuu that it actually surrounds around 6 main characters, personally, being all the main 6 people that are normally on the field of play.
Well, I like to differentiate it by calling it the main cast and the 2 main characters, because the 2 main characters are Hinata and how do you pronounce his name? The kid with the black hair. I forgot how to pronounce it. I apologize. But they are the 2 main characters. But the main cast, the main cast was the team, because that's their team. And because they're not all on the floor on the same time, or there's not as many, they did a really good job of delving into their individual backstories, why they play the game, why they do things that you just don't have the time. And I think they're doing something different in Diamond No Ace, because you're looking from in a way, even though you're seeing everything that's happening, you're looking from Sawamura's eyes. You're seeing how Sawamura as an individual is going to become the ace of this baseball team, because that at the end of the day is what's going to happen. He's going to become the ace, but it is not given to him. He's not just a prodigy that, from day one he walked into the building and it was just, he's going to be the ace. In fact, it's the opposite. They did not believe in him until he put the work in himself. They saw talent, but nobody truly believed that he could reach the height that he's going to reach. That he even reached. That's why one of my favorite episodes in Diamond No Ace, spoiler, so if you don't want to hear about this, you probably skip past this right now. But there's an episode in Diamond No Ace where Furia is playing like absolute dog shit. And they just keep saying, and they just keep sticking with him. And I've always had a problem. I've always had a problem with the way that they treat those 2 differently. When it comes to Furia, people are so enamored with his talent that they let him slide for mistakes that you wouldn't let a lesser player slide for. Furia has some of the exact same problems that he had at the beginning of season 1. But because of his talent level, they let it slide and they stick with him, willing to burn the entire team because Furia's talent is just that big.
I have not read the anime of Diamond No Ace.
The manga.
The manga.
No, you're good.
I would say that I don't know if they're even building him up to a character that actually fills fruition later elements within the anime, right?
Here's the thing. So here's the thing with him. Furia and Sawamura have come a really long way. Furia is a lot better. His progression is just not as necessarily tangible.
Furia's golden, by the way.
Because Sawamura was so bad. Sawamura was so bad. This is a guy who played on a baseball team that didn't even really know how to hold the ball the correct way. He was just playing because he enjoyed baseball that much. Furia is learning more kind of from an individual level. He's learning it different because their personality is different. That's one thing I really like about Diamond No Ace, is that they really dive into different characters' dichotomies with one another, with their team, and how different people affect their team and grow with as a team and individual. Because people like May is arrogant, brash, but at the same time, even though he has just kind of this exterior, just loudmouth, just braggadocious, one, he can back it up because he is a super talent. But B, he also had to take his lumps, because that's the thing about Diamond No Ace. Nobody got away without taking their lumps. Everybody had to get to a point. The only person you could argue that didn't take lumps was Hongo. because Hongo's just different. But I don't want to talk too much about that. That's my boy. That's my son.
I mean, there's a lot of things that can be discussed about the actual in-game experience versus the anime, because the anime, I mean, animes never do it justice, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, sports are very competitive, very interchanging.
Well, sports anime just kind of drag on they just go on the dramatics of a lot of these moments. They try to go more in depth to give regular casual people a lot of the time things that you wouldn't normally think about, because you're not thinking about all those things when you're watching a baseball or a football game. You're not thinking about, okay, what's going on in that guy's personal life? Okay, what's going on the sidelines? What are they arguing about? Does he like his teammates? Does he not like his teammates? You know, does he worried about
a more personal experience?
Yeah, sports anime do a really good job in general of just giving you this deep dive or POV into different stuff like that you wouldn't get live.
You're not wrong, Vince. But yeah, just back to our original topic of the whole animes versus each other. It really just, like I said, it just comes down to whether your preference is getting a full experience of a sport in anime format, or getting a full experience of the characters that are within a sport environment. So that's what the differences are, and hopefully,
major differences for sure.
We'll hopefully be able to understand those better as the seasons progress. But both animes are great. I recommend you check out Ace of Diamond. I recommend you check out Haikyuu, and those are both great animes.
Yep. Right.
Yeah. Kuroko's still the GOAT, though.
Bro, you're sorry for that, bro. You're sorry.
Oh my god.